Thank you for allowing me to interview you today. Are there any concerns at all you would like to address?
My main concern currently be job security for me.
Now, can you explain more on the job security?
So I currently work in the construction industry, and currently the economy has a decline in building. A lot of contracts being canceled out. So I'm not sure in 6 months if there'll be a job for me or not.
It sounds like you're under a lot of stress. Can you explain more on what is happening in your job?
Yeah, basically with the election coming up, a lot of real estate developers are backing out of our contracts. We had about 6 jobs to start next year, and due to the economy and presidential election, a lot of them are postponing the builds and basically stopping proceedments with the contracts.
It sounds like for you, you're under a ton of stress and also frustration due to the sense of job security, the chance that you're able to lose your job in 6 months. Now, you say that people on your job site currently, they are being told to retire.
Yeah, one was just told to take a month off without pay until the only job we do have a contract with starts, and two, the employees of the company who have been there since maybe 15 to 20 years were told to retire because not really enough work currently.
So, would you say that right now you're in a ton of stress due to the chance of you being able to lose your job?
Yes, definitely have bills to pay, and typically when it's at a time like this, it's not just my company, it's all companies for construction, kind of similar to 2008. So I know talking to a lot of our subcontractors, they're getting pay cuts, they're not having a lot of contracts through GCs. So just the whole industry slowing down, so it's not like I could easily just go to another job if building's stopping. Whereas 3 years ago there's a rush for construction, so a lot of people were getting job offers for $20,000 more.
Are you doing anything to help your stress pertaining to work?
Try to enjoy my hobbies, golfing, try to go fishing. Now it's hunting season, hopefully de-stress by going to the tree stand.
Now, say if in the future, with how the economy is, with how the chances are with new job sites, do you have a plan at all with your future in case if you do lose your job?
Not really. I have a job offer currently from Pasco County that I am debating applying for, but it would be a substantial pay cut, but the benefits would be better, but a pay cut doesn't really help me as far as bills and stuff go. But I'd also be saving money by not driving 2.5 hours one way to a job site. It'll be a local job.
Now, with all of this going on at your work, how does it make you feel?
Not really sure. I wouldn't say stressed per se, but I guess worrying. Trying to find the right words. I feel like I'm one of the better employees, so I think I'd be kept on payroll. I know before I was hired for the 2008 recession, they took 25% from all the employees that stayed on the company, so that'd be a large chunk of money missing. That's one paycheck a month, which I'm not budgeted for. During COVID-19, they took 15% from us, and that had a substantial impact on my budgeting. So that's what I'm mostly stressed about.
You're saying pertaining to financial wise.
Yes.
Now, for me, I can totally relate. You know, for me, I'm under a lot of financial struggle, and you know, I was working a job, you know, where I was making plenty of money with a sales job. You know, I was, you know, making plenty enough to live, you know, a normal adult life, and then you know, I make that change to get out of that job, you know, for my health, for my mental health, you know, to better myself. And now that I'm back in college, you know, it's hard for me because, you know, I was living an adult life. You know, I was having all these, you know, before this when I was working that job, you know, I got a brand new car, you know, I got a bunch of different loans, you know, I was living on my own, you know, I had to pay, you know, for say new bedroom set, you know, that wasn't cheap, you know, for the mattress, and you know, I was paying off all my debt, you know, with that job. And now that, you know, I'm back in college, I don't have that money, you know, to get rid of the debt I have. So it kind of feels like I'm in that constant struggle of dealing with, you know, financial problems, and it's hard, but you know, at the end of the day, I know I can overcome this. So for the question with you, are you possibly scared of having to start somewhere new if your job does end up coming to an end?
Are you meaning just with a new company or a new industry?
I'm meaning either or, new company, new industry.
Well, as you're aware, I went to college for construction management, so I'd probably never switch out of the industry. I would hate to restart with the company. So the current company I've been there for 8.5 years. So I have my vacation time that's been built up. Obviously my salary's been built up. I get seniority essentially in most cases. So it would suck to start again at another company, but sometimes you have to do that. And it could benefit me going to another company because you usually kind of talk your way into more salary, so you can kind of build your salary quicker by going to other jobs, as a lot of people are doing currently. Because with the construction industry now compared to 20 years ago, staying with one company is not really a benefit too much anymore. If you have a better option, a lot of people usually take that.
Well, it's also scary, you know, to start somewhere new, especially because you've been working there since you've been young, haven't you?
Yeah, I
You've
started.
put in many years in that company.
Started when I was 18, currently 26. Current role is assistant project manager, so kind of oversee mostly everyone in the company. It's a smaller company of I think 21 employees, including the office staff and owners.
Do you feel as if the owners aren't, how can I say this? Do you feel like the owners are not necessarily being fair towards you?
I definitely feel undervalued, considering the fact I can go from the office side of things, correlating with millionaires of talking to about their either the real estate owners, so I can go talk to them who own the property we build for, or we're talking to ownerships of subcontractors we use. I go from talking to them to sweeping the floor if I have to, where a lot of the guys think it's beneath them to go sweep a floor with a labor or something like that. So I feel like I'm willing to do anything to get the job done, and I've stressed that to my owners / bosses. They don't really seem to want to know about that stuff. They just ask us to get it done. There's many employees that I feel take advantage of the owners, because the people I work for are very kind and forgiving people. They usually work with employees that have issues, let them take some extra time off over their PTO. So it's a very relaxed setting as far as employment goes, but it's very annoying to sit there and do all the work while someone else sits there in their chair all day, not really doing anything. So that's why I get aggravated. But sadly, I just think I keep telling myself that's most of the generational kind of employment anywhere. There's always lazy or people that don't really want to help work. I think it's kind of throughout any industry. I think if I go somewhere else, I would be probably complaining about the same stuff.
So you feel, I would say, frustrated with the fact of how people in the company, they take advantage, and the fact that you're undervalued even though you put in much more work than the other people that are overvalued.
Yes, there's definitely people who make more money than me that's been there longer, but they are not willing to work overtime as a salaried employee, so not really being paid for it. But they're not willing to do that or willing to hand to a fellow employee who's trying to solve a problem to get the job done. The last few years been kind of funky because normally get a yearly raise and a yearly bonus. Since COVID started, that's kind of been iffy. We've already been told this year we're not getting a raise and a small bonus, which is disheartening because basically for the last 4 years, I've worked basically 50, 60 hours a week, not including 25 hours drive time a week. We saved the previous job site I was at for 2 years. We're out there doing lots of hands-on work to save money for my boss. It was a project that kind of tanked, so we're sent out there later on to try to recover it, which we did in time. There's lots of promises made from the project manager who's no longer with the company about some free time off and bonuses and stuff like that, but that never happened. Then we're supposed to start another job site. They sent us to my one I wrapped up this week to oversee it for a few weeks. Then we ended up taking it over for 2.5 years, and there's been lots of drama and issues out there, but we got handled and wrapped up, but no bonus or raise from that. And I've overtaken the old project manager's spot unofficially. It's been stated in emails, but no pay raise or bonus or recognition as the project manager.
It sounds like there's a lot of frustration pertaining to the fact that you got bumped up to official project manager, correct? And it seems like there's a lot of aggravation to the fact that you moved up higher positions and you still haven't received a raise and the recognition that you deserve.
Correct. I try to be what's the right word for it? I try to be
Optimistic?
optimistic and I guess reasonable to make sure, because I know my bosses are having a hard time with these, like I was saying earlier, with some of the initial concerns of not having contracts. That's kind of why we're not getting a raise or bonus this year. He keeps saying once we get more jobs, which he spoke about a couple in downtown Orlando, then one in Lake Mary. They're supposed to be stick frame, wood frame apartments starting hopefully mid next year, but they're not sure with these contracts dropping out. But he's talking about letting me get one of those from start to finish to do my own job site on. So that's optimistic for that fact, and try not to pressure them for money. I know a lot of the other employees complain to them about that kind of stuff, and that just usually kind of irritates them more than helping as far as what the owners of my company, because I know they are good people and they do want to do nice things for us. I think they're trying, but when I get so in their face, I think it's disheartening for them. Then, yeah, I mean, the only thing that bothered me with that was when I graduated college, it took me a year to get a raise or a raise for my college degree. So I was very close to quitting because I did get a better job offer, and they bumped my salary up, but not to match the job offer, but it was enough to make me stay for the other benefits.
Now, what are specific examples you can give me that you do to help alleviate your stress, your frustration, your anger towards the work that you do?
Mostly try to golf on the weekend. Hang out with friends by golfing. It's just a nice relaxing setting, or going on the boat, kind of getting away from the noisiness. It's nice to go out there and fish, and drive around, not really have too many worries. Same thing with the hunting. I mean, either I'm duck hunting or going deer hunting. Deer stand, I can sit there and not really do much, where it's what I like doing to de-stress.
So would you say with duck hunting, with golfing, all the other hobbies that you have, that it helps you, one, with your stress, to feel like you're back at a normal level to where you have that relaxation?
For the most part, like I just finished up a job that's been kind of under the gun for the last year. So they got behind on the deadline, so that's always in your mind, going on, even on the weekends when you're trying to enjoy your free time. It definitely pops up. But overall, I'd say at least just going out there and enjoying my free time does definitely relieve stress. It's just I took up golf a year ago, so obviously learning that is not an easy thing. I'm getting frustrated with that. Some days is not fun, but overall I enjoy it.
So, with the job concern that you have with you, for the chance, that there's not a lot job security, for the future, depending on with the election, because you were saying with the election, it really depends on with the election, how the election goes with you guys getting possible job sites. Can you explain more on why with the election is it that they're waiting to decide, to start contracts for your job?
I'm not too keen on it, as far as I'm not really a developer, but I think depending on which political party gets elected, it usually affects taxing and overall economy boosting. And a lot of our, I don't want to say a lot of them, but some of our contracts or real estate developers we work with are foreign, so they basically live in Argentina or whatever and invest in our economy, so they watch the economies a lot differently than probably I do. But so just pretty much every presidential election, it usually affects contracts, but nearly not as much as this, because this is a unique election. So I think a lot of people are scared from it, whether investors / real estate, construction, because there's a lot of money in construction to go around. So,
would you say, with pertaining to the election, do you have a lot of fear? Because that really decides, with your job, with getting contracts and everything, and even raises, in the future as well.
Definitely concerned. I think there will definitely be an impact on who gets elected and how the economy goes. So I'm hoping the right person gets elected.
Oh, I completely agree. It depends on our future. Even with the economy and stuff and how it goes, it's hard, to be able to afford a place to live. Even college housing, college housing has gone up. Like with me, because I moved, to Florida from Indiana, so I live in college housing currently, and it's expensive. And that's another thing is with your future and everything, it's hard to be able to afford stuff. So I think it's a real concern for all of us.
Yeah, I definitely like to move closer to work is another concern of mine that pertains to my line of work. I'm getting tired of driving 2.5 hours one way, so it definitely would be nice to afford a house closer to work where I don't have to stress about that and kind of save money.
Yeah, it sounds like there's even a ton of stress with having to drive, back and forth from your job, and it almost can get overwhelming. Can it, to a point after a while?
Yeah. It's mind numbing some days. Kind of got used to it now, but just going to college over in Orlando and driving back to Spring Hill every day. So I was getting up at 5, getting home by 11:30. So that was my first 4 or 6 years, 4 or 5 years of working over there. So now it's nice to get home in a decent hour, but the drive does definitely suck some days.
Now, with your job, does it almost feel like you never get a break from it?
In my particular instance, it does not feel like I get a break because in the typical industry, construction industry, once you'd finish a job, you'd start a brand new one, and normally you get some time off between jobs, and you'd start a new one, and you're doing site work. So during site work, there's not really much work going on. So it's mostly big equipment moving dirt and digging holes. So that's kind of our downtime per se as far as the construction industry. But since my bosses know that I'm willing to do anything to get jobs done, they usually, when I finish a job, they send me to another job that's not kind of underperforming to help them finish their job, which is usually the most stressful portions of the job, like punch out and cleaning up, packing up, making sure all the owner's changes are handled. So that's been my last kind of probably 6 years. 4 years. I've been sent from job site to job site, just finishing up for my boss, so I don't really get the downtime others get.
It sounds like even when you try to take a break, your mind is still occupied with work, which makes it even difficult for you to truly relax. That must be really frustrating for you.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating. I'd say the most frustrating fact is even I don't get really time during the week to enjoy or relax. A lot of my friends who work different industries or maybe a different part of the construction industry, they get off. They work local and get off earlier, so they get to go golfing and stuff after work even. Where I don't really get that chance because I'm out my door by 5 a.m. to get home at 6 to 7. But hopefully, this job site I started 2 days ago, started at, I can seem to get off a little earlier to maybe enjoy those things more.
Are you feeling more optimistic about this new job site you're on?
As far as time restraints, yes, but many of the coworkers that are out there are kind of the ones I was alluding to earlier. Some are lazy, a lot of them don't like each other, so they're constantly fighting and causing drama amongst my company. And a lot of the subcontractors we use also see that, so it kind of portrays my company in a kind of negative manner. So I don't like being around that. And the only crappy thing currently, because I started this job Thursday, so I'm going over there to help do punch list. No one's really explicitly told us or told me what to do other than just go take photos and make punch lists. They're having me cut holes the first hour I was out there when I don't know the layout of the buildings and stuff like that. Overall, I think it's supposed to be done in December, so it should be a short time if it is a frustrating part.
Well, how does this affect your day-to-day experience at work with all the troubles that you face?
Definitely makes me not want to go to work some days, but at least currently with the punch list I'm doing, I spent the last 2 days walking in units, taping up walls and anything that doesn't look good or doesn't work. I take photos of those on an app that our subcontractors use, so I'm mostly kind of doing my own thing all day, so I can't really complain about that, so I'm not around anyone else, so I kind of take my time and take a break if I want to.
Can you give me a specific example of Can you give me Can you give me an example of Can you give me a specific example of a certain concern that you have at work with your job security?
As far as one.
As far as that causes certain stress levels.
My biggest thing would just be making sure we get contracts where I still have a job, but I try not to stress about that too much because there's not much I can really do about that, but it is always on your mind, or my mind, as far as if we don't have jobs and way to pay my bills, so.
And it sounds like, too, with not being able to, with paychecks, because obviously any adult needs a paycheck to keep going on. It sounds extremely stressful that there's a chance, in the future, if you're going to get, a next paycheck or not.
In reality, I think I'd be one of the few people in my company who keep, since I'm young and kind of upcoming. Most of the guys who work for the company are older and ready to retire, so I think they would keep me if the recession or something along those lines hit. I just think I'd probably lose a percentage of my paycheck, which would obviously still hit me pretty hard. So I'd probably have to sell my things that make me happy, maybe like my truck or boat, but that's.
Then lastly, for your last question, if things do get, because you said you don't experience stress too much, more so anger, frustration towards your job, if you do at some point become stressed from your job, would just your hobbies be the thing that can sort of calm you down, or do you have other things that you would partake in, like meditation, for example?
Usually my hobbies are what kind of makes me happy. Maybe we can get away or something, but also suffice if I was getting really stressed out, but I try not to get stressed out too often. And on the days I do get stressed out, I usually try to go golfing or something, or fishing on the weekend.
It's extremely important, to have these hobbies, something that can calm you down, because everyone has their things that they do, that keeps them happy. And at the end of the day, it should be your happiness over everything else. I think we did 20 minutes, right?